Thank you, everybody, and welcome to our next CUcard Connection broadcast. I want to quickly go through the agenda today and then jump right into the topics. So the first thing we're going to do is what's new, and we're going to cover CUcard staff intros. I'm sure you've heard a couple new voices on the phone, so we're going to introduce you to the 2 new employees here at the association office, as well as we're going to introduce 2 new products that Vantiv is rolling out or has already started to offer. And the 2 products in question are Vantiv's MobiMoney via OnDot, as well as ApplePay, which we have notified some credit unions on, but we're going to have Brian Kent join us and talk a little bit further about those 2 videos and show a couple of videos and talk about those 2 new programs. The next is Connect Reminders. I know we have a lot of new staff behind the front lines, and we will just do a couple of reminders in that regard. And we're going to do what's ahead. We have one new launch for this summer we're looking forward to, as well as just a quick reminder about our holiday hours. So we're going to first start off with what's new. So in regards to what's new, we're going to just quickly talk about the 2 new staff members that we have joined our team. And those 2 people are Debbie Quintana and Carrie Ballard. And Debbie joined our team in late September of last year, and we're happy to welcome her to our CUcard group. And we just want to do a quick overview of what she handles on a daily basis. So she works with credit unions on a one-to-one basis and works through phone support, as well as connect help and request. She also does daily ATM processing and sends out the emails for those batch credit unions who are currently receiving transaction files from us today, as well as card and PIN orders. So you'll be hearing from her on those, I'm sure. As well as she uploads the daily terminal reports to credit unions every day, and is in charge of the lost and stolen cases and follow through on those. So our next employee is Carrie Ballard, and I'll hand that over to Jennifer.
Thank you, Michelle. Yes, I'd like to introduce Carrie Ballard. She's been with us since January. Her extension is 7027. And she does phone support as well as connect help and requests, online activity files and network totals for our online credit unions, and ATM and PIN-based disputes that are submitted, and any compromise card alert notifications that we receive from MasterCard and Vantiv, and fraud case follow-up as well. And we're very excited to have both of them as part of our team here.
And if you want a more detailed listing of truly what they do, it is truly a job share area for sure. They do cross over each other and cross-train and work in each of the areas of their primary area. So the actual CUcard program staff contact sheet is out on Connect. It's off from the dashboard, so if you scroll down to the left-hand side, you'll click on Reference Guide, and in that reference guide, you'll see the CUcard Program Support Staff Connect contact sheet. And on that contact sheet has, as Jennifer stated, has their extensions, and Debbie's extension is 7035 and Carrie's 7027, as well as each of their email addresses, and have Jennifer and I listed on there as well, just to give you an idea of what we do on a daily basis, and give you an idea of who should I contact who does chargebacks, or who should I call in regards to ATM terminal inquiry, or a PIN-based dispute, or an ATM terminal upload. So those just gives you an idea, a fewer breakout of those areas to help out, and you can pass it along to other staff members. The other thing I just want to point out is 2 new programs that are coming on with Vantiv. One is ApplePay, which will be currently introducing, and Brian has spoken to a lot of credit unions over the last couple of months. And the other newer program is Vantiv's MobiMoney via OnDot. And I'm going to hand it over to Brian at this time, who will introduce both of those new programs and give a little more detail on those. So thanks, Brian, for joining us.
Okay. Thanks, Michelle. So our thought today is we want to kind of give you a preview of some products and services we're looking at down the road. Over the 20-something years that we've had the program here at the association, it's changed many times, and we can probably think it's fair to say that for your members, in terms of how you interact and deliver services to them, that's changed as well. So as we take a look at a couple programs, the first one we want to take a look at is what's known as MobiMoney on Dot, which Michelle made a reference to earlier. The concept behind this is really to try to make the card more valuable to your member, so when they decide what debit card they want to use, hopefully your card comes top of wallet. And we'll do a brief introduction video that'll show some MobiMoney on Dot practices for a member in usage. But the idea to try to keep in mind here is we're pairing your card that your member has with the member's cell phone. And nothing that the member has is going to be able to override what you've put in place. For example, if you've blocked a certain area, the member doesn't have the ability to do that. But for a lot of everyday conveniences of a member letting you know that they're going to a certain area, blocking certain type of transactions, fraud type protection, this gives a lot of very easy to use member control, which adds a lot of value to that member when they has that card, and has good comfort and everything with it, while also keeping up in terms of the technology. So we'll pause here for just a minute, let you view the video, and then we'll pick up afterwards in terms of just doing a recap where that is.
This is my card, issued by my bank, and this is my phone. I use my phone to control my card. Introducing Card Control by OnDot, the safe and secure way to control all your cards. Turn on alerts, and when you make a transaction, you're notified. And you don't even need a payment receipt, because the information is already in your phone. When you're traveling, you can use location controls. Set your card to be active around you, and transactions are allowed wherever you are. Card control is great for families too. You can set where your card can be used, and set some purchase limits. So your kid can spend $20 at the bookstore and not $200 on shoes. Card control protects you against fraud on the internet, because if you don't typically buy stuff on the web, you can enable online transactions, then disable them after the purchase. Sometimes life can get a little busy. If you leave your card behind, Card Control has you covered. It uses your phone's GPS to limit the range of where your card can be used. If your card goes out of range, any transaction automatically gets denied, and you're alerted instantly, so you can notify your bank and lock it. Set locations, set merchants, and set limits. Card Control by OnDot. It gives you control over the cards you already own.
So hopefully you found that video informational. If you'd like to find out more information about OnDot and MobiMoney, please give us a call. We're in the final stages as of right now of getting package pricing together for your credit union. And one thing I want to stress is this is an optional service. So what we're really trying to bring you today is just a preview of products going up down the road to open up the discussion and let you decide with your credit union if you think this service is right for the members. On a second product that we'll talk about today is one that just about reached its 1-year anniversary birthday, and that's ApplePay. ApplePay was the first large-scale organization that came out of trying to use a mobile wallet type resource. And Apple was very creative in terms of what they came across. The idea is they wanted something that was quick and easy to use, but also be very secure. So the interesting part about ApplePay is you use your compatible device to pay for a transaction at a select merchant, but when the member actually pays, there's not the transfer of the card information between your member and the merchant. And the idea behind that is, God forbid if there was ever were to be a compromise, the person who would steal that data doesn't really have anything valuable. All they have is these kind of scrambled tokens. So while merchant breaches are still something we want to keep an eye out from, it's an added level of security for your member. So much like we did with the MobiMoney OnDot, we're going to pause here for a minute, let you watch a short video to explain it, and then pick up afterwards to fill in some of the details.
So we're here at a Walgreens in San Francisco where we're going to try out Apple's new Apple Pay. We're going to use my iPhone 6 Plus, which has my credit card all entered and ready to go, and we're just going to go over and check out and get this Red Bull. Waiting in line. Same as always. Okay, so I'm going to be opening up Passbook on my phone. It's already got my credit card info. Hope you can't see that. Okay, so Apple Pay, just tap your thumbprint to Touch ID, and done. We just bought this Red Bull using Apple Pay, using one of these regular terminals installed in Walgreens and CVS and Safeways and Full Foods and McDonald's all across the country. So having purchased a Red Bull as a pick-me-up, now we're going to try another average scenario. We're going to go get lunch at Mickey D's.
So you got buffalo ranch McChicken and one apple pie.
69.
There you go.
To go. So having just purchased this Red Bull from Walgreens and this Bacon Chicken Ranch from McDonald's, I was happy to find out that as soon as I walked out of the restaurant, a Bank of America Visa credit notification popped up on my notifications tab. So it said exactly how much I spent and gave me the rough time too.
We hope you found that video information helpful as well as you try to wrap your hands around and decide if Apple Pay is a good resource for your members. So a few other details as we've kind of hit the 1-year anniversary of Apple Pay. I think it's fair to say that Apple has definitely been very successful in having a device that's easy to use, easy for your members to understand, and it is secure. There has been some challenges as well as it's kind of rolled out. To make Apple Pay work, you really have to have 3 players that all kind of come to the bargaining table at the same time. The first is with your member. Apple Pay does not work on all Apple devices. To be able to use it as an option, you either have to have an iPhone 6, an iPhone 6 Plus, or you can use the new Apple Watch, or in some cases, some of the iPad type devices. If you don't happen to have one of those, then that does shut down the option for you coming out of the gate. Not a bad thing, but more limited in terms of who the people can use it for. It does require action on your member to get one of the compatible devices. The number 2 is the merchant. When Apple came out, there was just a small number of select merchants that said they would be willing to try it. That's grown over time, but it hasn't grown exponentially. So still, as of today, the number of merchants that you have is relatively small. For example, I could go to a Shaw's store, and if I had the other pieces and parts of the puzzle, Shaw's does accept Apple Pay transactions. If I happen to be a Price Chopper member, which is another supermarket in our neck of the woods, they're not accepting Apple Pay as of today. So that's just an example of how the market is a little bit more limited in terms of what's rolling out. And I think it really waits to be seen of what Apple Pay is going to look like a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. In terms of that scenario. The third piece of the puzzle, almost like the 3-legged stool, is the issuer. So we really have to be a case, just to kind of retrack, of saying your member has to have the right type of Apple device. They have to be shopping at a merchant which accepts Apple Pay. And the third thing is they have to be using a card that comes from an issuer who's raised their hand and say, yes, we want to offer Apple Pay to our members. And that's been growing as well. So there's been some positive feedback in regard to Apple Pay, but it's still definitely something that's growing. What's to be seen down the road? That's interesting. We don't have a crystal ball as of today, but we know very soon Samsung is going to be introducing a device called Samsung Pay. And it's going to have some similarities in terms of Apple Pay, but not exactly the same. And we anticipate, we've heard some rumors that other mobile providers will have programs that will be coming out. To what degree Samsung or the other competitors take off and expand in the marketplace, we don't know. But I think many people are predicting that Apple will maintain a certain amount of market share with there, and it may be shared with other type of providers that come through. So what we'll try to do as we go forward is to keep you informed on options that you can have for Apple Pay if you decide it's right for your credit union and right for your members, as well as you keeping you informed of what's going on in the industry with the Apple Pay competitors and the pricing and servicing available for that. So we appreciate your time, and I'll turn it back over to Michelle and Jennifer to conclude with the other parts of our discussion today.
Thanks, Brian, so much for describing those new programs. And as he said, I hope credit unions who are interested give him a call. And again, if a credit union, it's just not something they're looking into at this time, they're always there. We just want to make sure we bring technology your way. I'm sure members at this point may be asking for these products, especially Apple Pay, and I know that one's one of the most current ones that's out today. It may work for your credit union, may not, but it gives you an option of continuing to see the new services we can add on to our current program. So the next item on our agenda is Connect Reminders, and we have a bunch of areas that we're going to cover today. And the first area we're going to pop right into is on an aspect of what's new. As you have felt, I'm sure, over the last couple of months, fraud continues to be a problem, and PRISM and Vantiv and their prison fraud department truly try to work with us and keeping ahead of those fraudsters. So one of the areas that you'll notice over the last couple of months and into the end of last year, a new PRISM product has been introduced to credit unions on our program. And that program has come from a near real-time environment of scoring transactions and denying transactions to a real-time product. And one of the biggest areas is credit unions trying to make sure that transactions are watched, that we can get ahead of those fraudsters. So this program utilizes a lot of the aspects the old program did, but in a more enhanced environment. So transactions were previously scored from 0 to 1,000, and those transactions, 0 being a true trusted transaction, where 1,000, 900, 850 is a questionable, get that card hotted type of transaction, where in the old program it would just score the transaction would post, and then the notification would come out saying, this potential transaction's in question. But now the new system ends up going and scoring that transaction and denying that transaction based on score. So we're finding that this new program is truly catching these fraudsters before the actual transaction occurs. And we're going to discuss a little bit more about the two different fraud cases that have been implemented with this program. So I'm going to hand that over to Jennifer and have her describe those two cases at this time.
Thank you, Michelle. Yes, there's the two new different kinds of fraud cases that we are faxing over to you. The first one is the potential fraud notification, which is when a card is blocked for a questionable transaction. They are shutting down the card. They want to make sure that this transaction is valid or fraudulent, and so the card is shut down. The next one is a warm block, and so it's a questionable transaction letter that we send out, and they're just questioning the transaction to see if it's fraudulent or valid, but the card isn't shut down. It's still, the member is able to use the card. So if they are traveling, they're still able to use the card. So there are two separate types of fraud cases now you'll see in Connect. There'll be a hot block versus a warm block, and so that's the difference between the two.
Great. And another area that we're quickly going to talk about is the travel notifications. And the travel notifications today are quite a bit different than what we were previously doing. So over the last few months, it's just been really important for credit unions to describe where their members are traveling. The more detail you put in these travel notifications, the benefit that the member receives from us being able to detail the information out in direct. So the biggest change with this new program is previously we would put out a travel notification on the system and we would notate the person's traveling to Texas. If the person is traveling to Texas, the transactions are occurring in Texas, the actual rep at Vantiv would look at the transaction that might have potentially been questioned and post to the member's account, block that card, and send us the fraud case notification. But now it's really, really important for us to know where they're traveling because we're implementing the card exclusions. So those card exclusions now are done in conjunction with the travel notification. Travel notifications that are submitted to us just need details in regards to if they're flying, if they're driving, as well as if it's overseas travel. They could be going through an airport and have lunch for some particular reason, and you might have notated they're traveling to Texas, but they had lunch in Chicago, and that transaction could end up blocking the card because you didn't notify us that they are traveling through a particular state. In this regard. So if they're going to Texas and they're going to be flying through Chicago airport, then it's just really important to notate particular cities and states of that travel. The other area is card exclusions. Card exclusions previously were submitted when you wanted to open them up to the state. So now that travel notifications include a cardholder exclusion requests on the system truly are only used for online purchases. Those online purchases now, say if they're purchasing something from Canada or purchasing something overseas, it's just really important to just remember if they're traveling, to submit a travel with detailed information so we can put in a cardholder exclusion. Cardholder exclusion does not need to be submitted. The only case a cardholder exclusion is submitted is for those online purchases.
Yes, and it's really important if you can have your member really explain exactly where they're going to just really help us out with those card exclusions. If they're going to Europe, which countries are they visiting while they're over there? If they're going to the Caribbean or taking a cruise, which islands are they going to be traveling to? So really reminding your members to give you as much information as they can when they travel to help them, to benefit them from their cards not being blocked while they travel.
And one of the other areas is just making sure to update your cell phone number. Cell phone number is really important now if they do have one and they travel quite a bit or just even within the New England. Just knowing that card holder can be contacted via the IVR, which will call them or text them. In this case, if it's a cell phone recognized phone number, they will be able to be a text sent to them, and then they can text right back saying, yes, that transaction's mine, please unblock the card. If it's no, that transaction's not recognized, then keep the card, block that card. So it just really helps the member along their way. The IVR will still call the home phone if needed, if it recognizes it's a home phone number, and leave a message. But if you do have a cell phone number, to make sure to get those in, so it would truly be a good member experience all around. So the next areas we're going to talk about are 3 different areas for more in lines with the frontline staff, and just quick reminders to those who previously are new to the credit union. The PIN force and PIN reset we're going to quickly talk about. Cardholder updates in regards to the Connect comment area, and card orders for temp and overnights. So the first thing we're going to do is just quickly run over what a PIN force is and PIN reset is, and I'll hand that over to Jennifer.
Thank you. Yes, a PIN force is when a member just cannot remember what their PIN is and needs a new PIN forced, and new four-digit PIN number. So that's a PIN force, and we really recommend if you can submit a PIN reset along with the PIN force is really helpful for us, because a lot of times the member by accident, if they don't remember their PIN, they'll enter their PIN in a few times, and then I'll end up blocking the card out. So we need to do a reset as well as a PIN force. So we recommend if you can please submit a PIN reset as long with a PIN forced to quickly get that done for your member. Unless it's a card that was just ordered, hasn't been activated yet, and you would like to do a PIN force for that card, a PIN reset isn't necessary, because at that point they haven't actually used their card. So you would need to do a PIN reset. In that case, you can always submit a PIN reset if you'd like, and if it's the member swears they know what their PIN is, they just had forgotten for the moment, and that will unblock their card as well.
Great. And the other area we just want to quickly talk about is cardholder updates. When submitting a cardholder update request through Connect, there's a comment box, and it's just really important when you're submitting that cardholder update to make sure that you notate in that comment box what you're updating. One of the biggest struggles is it submits everything. So if you're just updating an address, maybe even just an apartment number, it submits the first name, last name, the address, the phone number, and again the mailing address. So even just notating PH for phone number, that you're changing the phone number in that comment field, or ADD for address, or city for city that you're just changing, or even the zip, it just allows us to have a chance to really proof what you're submitting, but keep an eye on what you're truly changing, so we don't make any mistakes on this end in regards to your request and missing something that truly needed to be changed. And I think the other area is last name.
Yeah, that's really important as well. If a member gets married, changes the last name, if you can just notate in the comment section, just indicate what the old last name, the maiden name is, so we can go ahead and look it up that way to update that to the new last name. That's just very helpful for us when we are updating last names in the system.
Just great tips. And the other area in this section was just card orders and the difference between a temporary address on a order that's being shipped directly to the credit union through regular mail compared to shipping an actual card to the overnighted to the credit union.
Yeah, this one can get confusing sometimes. Yeah, when you're overnighting a card, we kind of order it a little bit differently. We pull it and we rush it to go, overnighted to the credit union. So in that case, you just need to click on credit union and then fill out whose attention you would like it sent to and then which office. And then it gets sent directly to the credit union. However, when you're doing just a regular card order and you would like it sent to the credit union, in that case, you would need to submit a temporary address update. And usually we do it for about 2 weeks. And that way it just puts in that temporary address that you would like it sent to that credit union's office during that time frame. So for overnight, you don't need to worry about anything. You just need to select credit union and which attention and office. But for a regular card order, please submit a temporary address update.
And it just allows the time for the system to mail that PIN, and then 2 or 3 days later the card gets mailed, so that temporary address needs to be in the system to be able to get that card to the credit union office through regular mail. And that's the only reason why you're not able just to select credit union on a regular order. That address needs to sit there for a few days, and we suggest 2 weeks in that regards. So the other two areas that when we were changing from CASA and converting over to Connect, one of the biggest requests was having access to reports. And that report, we have added one of the most popular, 2 of the most popular reports to the system for your access on a daily basis. And we highly suggest that you look at these reports either daily, if not weekly or monthly, depending on your time frame and availability, but it just keeps your database clean. And those 2 reports are deletable check cards and cards without activity. Not everyone has access to both reports. It all depends on the type of program you have. If you're a batch credit union, you'll have access to both those reports. And if you are a online credit union, you'll only have access to deletable check cards, since transactions are no longer being channeled through our office. So on the deletable check cards report, that report shows you any card that's been hotted for 6 months and which no chargeback rights still apply. This allows you to get that card off the system, and once off the system, it allows you to keep your card residency and account residency fees on your ATM invoice lower. So it's a good database cleanup, keeping fees minimal for those cards that are sitting out there. The other is cards without activity. These are active cards that haven't had any activity for 6 months. Again, that report can be changed to 12 months, even 18 or 2 years, 12 months, 18 months, or even 24 months. It all depends on your credit union's preference. We do have some credit unions who have snowbirds that fly out to down to Florida and out west, and they might want a lengthier time frame of deleting that card off the system. Again, it's just really important to keep an eye on both those reports. And just again, if you can't watch them daily, we suggest weekly or even monthly. Those reports are truly really large now.
Right now, yeah, with the recent compromises that we had, in January, September probably. Now that it's been over 6 months, they're ready to be deleted, and so we can clean up those databases. So if they're too large that you would like us to go ahead and work on them for you, please just email us, let us know, so at least we can get it down to more of a manageable amount that you can work on, and set maybe a reminder in your calendar, or have one of your staff members kind of keep an eye on that, like you say, once a week, once a month, just to keep that down, because it would definitely be more manageable at that point.
And one of the areas it really truly will help on is MasterCard pass-through fees. One of the fees that you get charged is to have that card out on the MasterCard Warnington Bulletin for that particular 6 months. So once that has dropped, you can get those cards deleted, and it will also start lowering those fees as well. So it's a win-win all around. It keeps your database clean, it keeps your fees lower and in check, as well as less potential chance of having a transaction come through, force through on those cards. So just a quick tip in that area. And then the other area we want to quickly talk about is chargeback request submission forms, and just a quick overview of where that form is and some tips on how to utilize that.
Great. Yes, it seems like there's been a lot of questions on what do I do when a member comes in and we need to dispute a transaction. And so there is, we created this chargeback request submission form that we have uploaded to Connect, and it's under Forms directory under the document libraries. And when you click on, when you see that, if you click on the chargeback request submission form, it might come up black. So what we suggest is to the left of that name, there's a little checkbox, and if you click on that, and then you go up to the top and download a copy to your desktop, that way you have a copy right then and there on your desktop, and you can reference it at any point. But it kind of has all the information that we would need in order to submit a chargeback. So it's a great tool to utilize when you have your member sitting in front of you and you're going through all these transactions and asking kind of what happened. And there is a great reference guide as well, kind of a step-by-step process too, in that forms directory as well, that will help you, hopefully will guide you through that chargeback process as well. And please don't hesitate to give us a call here at the office if you have any questions at all regarding chargebacks or anything else. We are certainly here to help you in any way we can.
Yeah, and that reference guide is just a step-by-step tool for you, just explaining how to fill out that form with your member for sure. And we hope to make it more manageable, and all the questions that we had in the past, allowing those questions to be on just one quick reference guide that allows credit unions to have it right in front of them, so the back and forth on the phone truly helps. Yeah,
it can get difficult, so definitely.
Great. Well, our next item on the agenda is what's ahead, and we have a couple things in this area. The first thing is just the summer news. The summer news at this time is a new program that Vantiv is offering. It is in the process of getting rid of Vantiv Direct/Host Access, which is currently a program that's downloaded on your computer. So they have been over the last 4 or 5 years, I think, working on a web-based program utilizing all the tools that we use today into one web-based version. So we're really excited to have that pilot done for those credit unions and financial institutions that had the chance to pilot that program. So we're just really excited to be one of the first credit unions and associations to now start implementing that new program over this summer. So that now that the pilots are done, which we didn't get a chance to partake, but we have seen a couple screenshots, and it looks pretty snazzy. So we hope to have all references within that program. So when you have a member standing in front of you at the teller line and counter, that you're able to answer more questions than picking up the phone and sending a quick question our way and having to call the member back potentially. So we hope to start learning this new program and then introducing it to everyone who's on our program and getting some training out for that. So keep your eye on that area. And that new program is called Vantiv IQ is the new program name. So the other reminder is just a quick holiday reminder about next week.
Next week, 4th of July coming right up. So we've had a lot of credit unions calling and seeing if our office is open for July 3rd, Friday, July 3rd, and our office is closed. However, the CUcard department will remain open to service you guys. So we will be here to answer any questions, to complete request on Connect, and we'll be here during our normal time, 8:30 to 5.
Great. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. We hope that this was very educational on all fronts, if not one part, on other parts for other employees. Certainly pass this link on to others so that they can watch it. Any new staff, we'd love to have their input. If any other questions for future broadcasts, any other programs you're interested in, please don't hesitate to contact us. We'd love to hear from you and and broadening these broadcasts so it reaches out to you, the members who truly are looking to bring new programs into the credit unions and helping their membership continue to thrive and be on top of all technology. So we hope this was beneficial to you all around, and we thank you again.